The ANC collaboration with the Progressive Business Forum is hosting a Presidential Gala Dinner this evening. This Gala Dinner is part of the build-up of activities to the 6th National Policy Conference, which starts this week. And we now cross to SABC News reporter Liabo Setho, who's at the event. Liabo, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Chat to us a little bit about who's in the audience. The President went to great lengths to thank them for supporting the dinner, because you've got to pay your way in, don't you?
I can tell you, Peter, good evening, that being here does not come cheap. I've just have in front of me some of the amounts that one would need to pay for a seat at a particular table. You don't just come here and you just sit at any table. When you look at the titanium seat, this is the seat where you get to have an audience with the President and be seated with him, a 6-seater at a whopping 200,000 Rand per seat. That is what we're talking about. The next one would be a platinum seat at around 165,000, followed by gold, silver, bronze, nickel, and the very cheapest being a chrome seat at only 5,000. Earlier today, Peter, the spokesperson of the African National Congress, Bulemabe, spoke that they were expecting about 2,000 guests to be gracing this event. But I can tell you, being inside there, that there were definitely less members or less people that graced this event. Whether it has to do with the finances of the businesses or the members or who pay subscription to the Progressive Business Forum, we don't know. But the President has also gone to great lengths in asking them to, as they eat, remember to leave a little something on the table, even if it's a donation, because we do know that the African National Congress can use with those donations. But there's a lot of other things that the President mentioned, like with her previous guest who talked, where you guys threshed about the issue of job creation and how the African Continental Free Trade Area can help with job creation, and how we can collaborate as African economies, making the example of Ivory Coast, who by now their trade with South Africa has jumped by 200%. He also alluded to the fact that they are talking about setting up a factory of manufacturing or producing chocolates, because Ivory Coast is so rich in cocoa. But I could never tell you the entire story of what's happening, because I've invited one of the NEC members, Ms. Mamuluko Kubai. She will be giving us some insights of what we can expect throughout the policy conference this evening, particularly when we talk about what should be contained in the discussion on economic policy. We know that we definitely need to grow as an economy, jobs needs to be created, and we need to make it easy for the members of the Progressive Business Forum to be able to give out that money to the party and for the party to sustain itself. But Ms. Kubai is with me. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us on the SABC News channel. You look beautiful, I must say. What the President mentioned in there about job creation, this is at the forefront of the committee, I believe, that you sit in, of economic policy. What is contained in that paper that is going to make it easy for investors to be able to part with their money?
Good evening to your viewers. Thank you very much. I think mainly when you look at the economic transformation document, we will be during this weekend in commissions, delegates and provinces delegates who are coming from provinces, from branches, will be able to input in terms of that. Part of what we are saying in the economic transformation document and as the subcommittee and the NEC, we've identified sectors that we believe that when unlocked, when we resolve the issues around those sectors, they will be able to assist us in dealing with the issues of unemployment. We have continued to say our battle is to deal with the triple challenges: unemployment, poverty and inequality. So when you look at the proposal, sectors such as tourism remains one of the sectors identified as mass sector, and the issues and the interventions that we need to make. We've got issues around manufacturing that we have identified, ensuring that we promote local manufacturing and local content. We've got around infrastructure development that we continue to say our growth has to come from infrastructure, and we believe that when investors invest in the pipelines that we have identified, side, when we unblock the issues around infrastructure, we will be able to create the jobs that we're looking for.
Let's talk about the role of the members of the Progressive Business Forum. It is a subscription-based partnership that you have with business leaders. Have you been able to convince them about the policy that you are adopting, the one that you are talking about, because they are the first members that you would need to, communicate this and what their input is going to be? Just how much of a role are they going to be playing in crafting policy, particularly on the economy?
We have been engaging with them. You'd remember that I hosted a session at Inanda, specifically for PBF members and all those others who are progressive, who have come to listen to what we are proposing. This was the first engagement that we had after launching the papers. Major part that is coming out of that was around transformation. Many of them were saying that we don't see the pace of transformation in the manner that we want to see. We're seeing quite a lot of challenges around where, for example, support for small businesses, support in terms of capital, continuous red tape in terms of inhibiting black businesses, and the issue around public procurement, that it remains a tool that we should be able to process, and therefore the issue around the Public Procurement Act review is important. And those are some of the issues that they've been raising with us. We continue to listen to them. Some of them have made submissions looking at what we are saying, proposing in terms of SMMEs, removing the small part of it, the small businesses from macro.
Yes,
we also,
is contained
in the document.
Business Act of 1996, where it was originally included.
Yeah, that's what we want to go back there, so that we can be able to reflect in terms of interventions and remove the red tape and the requirements, because we do understand that those are some of the challenges. The issues around township economy comes as well. The issue of rural economy. Some of the feedback actually said to us we are not very strong on cooperatives, and we thought that the previous conferences have spoken more about cooperatives, more around that. It has been, the challenge has been around implementation, but others are saying would want to see it in the document, so that we know there's reaffirmation that the ANC remains committed to implementing the work of cooperation, not cooperatives, not in the manner that we just did in high level in the reflection.
I'm glad that you touched on the issue of transformation, because just recently Minister Gwede Mantashe under his ministry has hinted and given the go-ahead for plans to start deregulating 93 octane. And one of the qualms that fuel retailers have had is that this will have an impact on transformation in the fuel retailing sector, that you will have less and less people going into those sectors. Do you think that you would be able to speak to certain sectors and delve into them just to find out about the impact of certain legislations? And I can also imagine the balancing act, that it must be quite delicate from what the party has to do, the state has to do, and also the interests of the businesses as well.
No, definitely it has to be a delicate balance. You remember that the interest there is to try and reduce the fuel price, which is currently higher, and therefore looking at mechanisms that it can ensure the interventions. What I always advise for players in sectors is to make submissions, because when these changes are happening, there's a regulation that is out for public comments, and majority of the time you don't find the comments, people who are affected not commenting. And that's why sometimes you find that later they complain to say, no, we were not involved. Government Gazette is one of the critical things that businesses in South Africa needs to understand and follow, because that's a legislative way of us communicating and seeking inputs in terms of the issues. But again, we are hoping that because black businesses as well will participate here, many of them who are operating in terms of SMMEs and various sectors are members of the ANC. We are looking forward to having their inputs, but we'll continue, because we've availed our email so that they can be able to make inputs as well, so that we can converse, hear their feedback. So I will also encourage those submissions so that we can talk about what they are raising and experiencing.
Minister, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Do enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you so much for making time to speak to us. Peter, that was Minister of Human Settlement, Sanitation, Ms. Mamuluko Kubai. She is also sits on the NEC and was giving us her thoughts about what the upcoming conference that officially starts on Friday, by the way, and I'm sure that our viewers have had the chance to hear the president and about what needs to be done. Earlier on, my colleague was speaking to Pule Mabe, who actually addressed the issue of the protesters outside, saying that They will be paid as of today. In fact, the money will be starting to trickle in. There were protesters outside. So there's been a hive of activity that has been happening since we've begun here. But I know that as the SABC News channel, we will be doing our best to keep our viewers informed throughout this policy conference until it finishes on Sunday. Peter, back to you.
All right, so which table are you sitting at? Titanium?
I'm sitting at the media table, and I'm sure that not much was paid for that. But yes, I'm sitting at the very low one, and I think it must be the titanium chair.
Thanks so much, Liabo. That's our business news anchor and reporter, Liabo Setho, there at the ANC Policy Conference Gala Dinner, where in collaboration with the Business Forum, sitting together, partly raising funds, but also getting ready for the all-important policy conference, which kicks off on Thursday.